All right, hurtling through the universe at the speed of light. That would be a good intro too, right? It's the Elias Makos Show. Second hour of the program. We are with you until noon. Just a couple of things, by the way. I do need to point this out. I did see a complaint from someone about our text line that they weren't able to communicate with us anymore. And so we changed the number, by the way. This was when I was on parental leave. And I imagine if you were on vacation at the time and you didn't hear the news, our text line, 514-790-0800. So if you have the old short code saved in your phone, delete that. Just put in our phone number, 514-790-0800. Save it to your phone. And that way, if you ever want to call us or text us, you can just ask your assistant on your phone, hey, call so-and-so, call CJAD, and then boom, it'll call, all right? Or it'll text. So get your address book up to date, 514-790-0800. If you want to ever throw me an idea or two or a comment on the show, you can always send me a text message there. Other thing, as we found out last Friday, when we were almost knocked off air because of the flooding, the geyser, the water main break near us, we stayed on air over radio, but we were knocked off the streaming. So for those of you who might have a fancy vehicle out there, or a newer vehicle, I should say, that has HD radio, we are CJAD 800 AM. We are also at 107.3 FM on the HD radio dial, channel 2, by the way. So if you have an HD radio, you can find us there in crystal clear sound. Let's begin this second hour by welcoming an MNA onto the program. The MNA for Mont-Royal Outremont from the Quebec Liberal Party, Michelle Setlakwe, is on the line. Madame Setlakwe, can I call you Michelle?
Of course, you can call me Michelle. Good morning.
Wonderful. So it's great.
May I call you Elias?
Absolutely. Please, indeed. So listen, it's great to have you on the show. We are going to get into the topic at hand because we're going to talk about just the remnants of Tropical Storm Debby and all the citizens dealing with that. But I want to just get it out of the way off the top because the last person I had on from the Liberal Party, Desiree McGraw, It almost seemed like the real reason they were on the show is because they wanted to talk about the leadership race and they wanted to give some support out there. And Desiree dropped on this show for, first time. Hey, I'm going to support Pablo Rodriguez when he decides to run. So can I just get your thoughts here? Have you picked a horse in this race? On the liberal leadership subject, do you have a candidate of choice?
No, I don't. I'm also very enthusiastic. With the fact that there's so many different candidates some have already announced, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's Mr. Coder and there's Mr. Milliard, and we are definitely expecting more candidates to announce. We know that there are more out there that are getting ready, and I'm very happy about that. No, I am not supporting anybody at the present time, and it may be that I will stay neutral right up till the end. The role that I'm playing in the caucus as leader adjoint requires me to stay neutral, so I will stay neutral for this session. We'll see. We'll take it 1 week at a time, but it's definitely an exciting time for our party. We need to have debate of ideas. We need to talk about the Liberal Party. Mm-hmm. We need to make progress, and this is very, very encouraging.
I know you have to stay neutral for the reasons you outlined, but I'd be remiss here. The Journal de Montréal has a cover story on Denis Coderre with the tax man after Coderre, and a story here about a home in Montreal North and $66,000. So I just does that anything like that to you? Does that affect the race, or if anyone is suitable to run for the leadership?
I don't want to comment on the specific article that came out about on Denis Coderre this morning. Okay. There are rules to be followed, and I'm sure that all candidates will meet the requirements of the party and the rules, the applicable rules, etc. And I'm looking forward to having many other candidates show up, show interest, file an official candidacy, and we're hoping to get some women out there as well.
That's right. Every single person who has thought about it, said they're running, contemplating, all men at this point. Okay, so we got the leadership race stuff out of the way. Let's get to the governing party, the CAQ, and their response now a couple of weeks later to the tropical storm Debby and the unbelievable amounts of rain it dumped on southern Quebec. Do you think they dropped the ball?
Yes, they did. They should have been. I mean, CAQ ministers and MNAs should have been on the ground much sooner. Let me just go back one second. So August 9th, we'll remember that evening for a long time. Thousands of Quebecers, like myself, because I was also flooded in my own home, will not soon forget the record amounts of torrential rain that came down on that day, on that evening, and the massive damage that it caused to their homes. And we knew it was forecasted, right, that we would be getting that torrential rain. Why did the CAQ ministers wait so long? Where was the premier on that evening, during the weekend, the days that followed? It took several days before we saw them. So for me, this is poor leadership on their part, and they showed us once again how disconnected they are from the realities of Quebecers.
So, and one of the things I've heard from the premier is, this wasn't normally when let's say there's a natural disaster, it affects like Saint Hippolyte, it affects NDG, it affects a very specific place. So it's easy for someone to show up at that spot. When you have an event that affects basically everyone, that is a much more difficult thing. Do you think that's a reasonable excuse?
Well, nobody expects them to be everywhere, of course, at the same time. But this is an opportunity for a government to demonstrate leadership. They should have been out there somewhere. It took him how many days before he showed up in Louisville? Yeah. There are other ministers, of course, who commented on social media, etc. I'm not saying that none of them were present and out there, but several Quebecers were worried, are still worried, and need to be reassured. The CAQ government should have stepped up and show Quebecers that they're taking this matter seriously.
So now, as we stand a couple of weeks later, what do you think the government needs to do for those who were affected, who had the flooded basements, who threw out everything in their basements? What should the government be doing?
So this is such an important issue, and it's a huge challenge for Quebec as a whole, right? So it's not just Montreal and Laval and the West Island. It's each region in Quebec that has its own reality and challenges. So we need to have a global vision and to start planning now, ASAP, on how to adapt our society to meet these challenges. So what we're suggesting to the government as the official opposition, our Liberal caucus, is we filed earlier this week a request for a mandat d'initiative, which basically means that we're asking for a parliamentary committee to study the question of our resilience in dealing with extreme weather events. We're not saying that the government isn't doing anything. There are some programs out there. There are some programs to support municipalities. There is the General Financial Assistance Program for disaster. But are these programs sufficient? The question is not if this will happen again, but when it will happen again, and will we be ready to limit the impact and the damage next time? So our proposal is to have this parliamentary committee where first we would address the resilience, our adaptation to climate change, and second, ask ourselves whether the compensation programs that are currently in place are adequate. So it's really a question of obtaining an overview of the situation on both these aspects. Yeah. This is what experts keep saying, right? We need to accelerate. We need to speed up. Climate change isn't going away. We need to be resilient and be ready.
So what do you say? Because I've heard the premier respond to that specifically, and he says, listen, if you compare Quebec to every other jurisdiction in North America, the other provinces, the other states, and about preparedness and what we have done, the money we have spent to adapt to climate change, the way he puts it is we're ahead. Like, yes, there's more to do, but where would you rather be in North America other than Quebec on that dossier, which is combating the changes coming with climate change? What do you say when you hear him say that?
Well, clearly, we're not that ready. Look what happened on August 9th. It's horrible. I mean, roads...
But I guess
failure.
I guess the way to
flooding.
put that is if that same amount of rain, record-breaking, 50% higher than ever on record, happened in Michigan, British Columbia, whatever place you have it, how they would have handled it. I guess his thing is like we handled it amazing compared to how other places would have handled it.
Okay. So no, we need to do more. So there's the question of compensation. I'm not saying we don't have a program. We do have a program for disasters, but we need to take a hard look at the availability and affordability of insurance coverage for Quebecers in the face of disasters. I mean, how many Quebecers will see their insurance coverage increase. They will probably, some of them will be told, well, we can't cover you anymore for flooding in your basement, et cetera. So we need to have an overview and to make sure that our program is adequate. And we're not asking the government to commit to a specific amount. The idea behind our proposal is to figure out the scale of the investment required. Now, that's one aspect. The other aspect is our resilience. Mm-hmm. So the CAQ government does have programs out there for work on our underground infrastructure, but the amounts are not sufficient at all. Municipalities are asking for way more than what the government has put forward. The experts keep saying that we need to accelerate and that we won't be ready if we want to be ready next time something like this happens. I have numbers for you. So it's not just me saying it.
Madame Setlakwe, I don't have the time for the numbers. We are running up against, we've gone long here because I've been having a fun time talking with you. But let's keep the conversation going. Maybe we can talk about this again in the future.
I would love to. Thanks for having me, and it would be a pleasure for me to come back.
That's our pleasure as well. That's Michelle Setlakwe, Liberal MNA for Mont-Royal, Outremont.